All right, hello and welcome back to Empowering Stepmoms interview series with Nathalie Savell. I'm your host. I am a stepmom coach with Stepmom Strong Coaching. I support stepmoms to go from overwhelm, resentment, stress, and confusion to confidence, clarity, and connection. And I'm very excited today to introduce our guest speaker, Tamara Dawn. Did I say it right?
Tamara.
Tamara. I have trouble with names sometimes. Tamara Dawn. We're super excited to have her. Tamara helps frazzled moms regain their calm, enjoy their kids more, and get more done. She is the author of the upcoming book, Frazzled to Fabulous in 5 Minutes a Day. Tamara teaches moms to use the powerful self-help tool of EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Also known as tapping, to release stress, overwhelm, and exhaustion in order to create a peaceful and joyful parenting experience. And she also teaches moms how to use EFT with their kids. So pretty neat. We're really excited to learn from her today. She's presented her work with motherhood at conferences in the UK and the USA. And she lives with her husband, Peter Dunn, and they run the EFT Training Center and trains EFT practitioners in the UK, Singapore, and the USA. So I'm sure she can help us with some of the stepmom challenges that we all are dealing with. Stress is a very common theme for moms as well as stepmoms. So I know EFT is a powerful tool for that. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's get started. I'd love for you to share a little bit about, for those people that are watching who have no idea what EFT is, can you explain it a little bit?
Absolutely. So it is like acupuncture for emotions without the use of needles. So if you went to an acupuncturist, they'd be sticking needles in those points. And instead, what we do is we tap on them. And most of them are on the face that we use. And the theory is that these acupuncture points are all connected with a series of energy lines called meridians. And if you imagine these energy lines to be like garden hose pipes, but instead of water flowing through, you have energy flowing through. If you have a kink in your garden hose pipe, the water won't flow through. If you have a kink in the meridian line, the energy won't flow through. So when you have a negative emotion, it causes these kinks in the energy lines. And when you tap on the ends of these meridians, which is what these points are, it has the effect of straightening the hose pipes, the meridian lines, and the energy can flow. And how that feels is that you're feeling calmer, happier, and the negative emotion diffuses. So be it anger, stress, overwhelm, guilt, anxiety, whatever it might be. And current research actually shows that it has an effect on the amygdala, which is the stress organ in the brain.
Okay, so the research is saying that it calms the amygdala, or it helps to regulate the amygdala, or what does it say?
Yes, it calms the amygdala. So what they did is they did some research with 3 groups of people. One group had conventional talk therapy, one had nothing at all, and one group had EFT. And the only group where there was a significant reduction in cortisol levels was the group that had had the hour of EFT, a 24% reduction.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's really exciting that science is catching up with the traditional Chinese medicine.
Right, yeah. So before it was kind of this Eastern, foreign, philosophical kind of type of medicine that was being practiced, and people have been practicing it in the US forever, and they've seen the results themselves, so they see that it's helpful, and now we actually have the neuroscience research to back it up, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I love what you said, just 5 minutes a day. So how can just 5 minutes a day of EFT support a mom or a stressed out stepmom?
Okay, great. The reason I suggest 5 minutes of tapping is all you need is because I know that mums in generally have no time at all. So I suggest that when mums can carve out 5 minutes out of the 1,440 minutes a day, it's better than nothing. So if you imagine that you're a mum, I always think of a mum being a ship and setting sail to sea at the beginning of every day. And what they tend to do is they set out to destination chaos because they wake up late, they haven't slept, all night because the thoughts have been buzzing around in their heads. They've been woken up by kids and babies, and then their kids are playing up. They're not getting dressed. They don't want to wear this. They want to wear that. Breakfast ends up all over the floor, piling the kids into the car, driving through big traffic, and shouting at the kids arguing in the back and arriving at school, etc. So destination chaos. Now, if you imagine that the waves in the sea are all those different aspects of the day, so the kind of things that I've described, kids not cooperating, etc. If we can already set sail at the beginning of the day and spend 5 minutes setting course to destination calm instead of destination chaos, then you can have a happier day. So the 5 minutes, it's just literally focusing on either having a great day, or generally speaking, I tend to kind of work on releasing the stress and the overwhelm and the guilt and the anxiety and those kind of things. But if you can just spend 5 minutes a day, every day, you're shifting your navigation towards a calmer place instead of the chaotic place. And the amazing thing is that with the mums, because I set up this program of 5 minutes of tapping a day for mums about a year and a half ago. So it's relatively new. But I've been practicing EFT for many years, and I know how amazing it is. But what blew me away was that by tapping for 5 minutes a day, because normally I do one-to-one sessions of an hour and I can see all the wonderful results. And I was hoping that 5 minutes a day would make a difference for mums, because I knew that they don't have much time. And the results were literally astounding. They were incredible. So not only did it do what it said on the box, which was regain your calm, enjoy your kids more, and get more done, but also there were amazing side effects, such as I don't need that glass of wine or bar of chocolate at the end of the day. Or finally, I'm happy to wake up in the morning again. I've got a reason to get up. Or I've stopped spending money on myself to make myself better because I feel so good. Or my partner's asked me what I've been doing because I'm so happy now. So all of these kind of, or also even physical problems disappearing, despite the fact that we weren't working on them, like period pains disappearing. And one woman said she'd had this terrible nausea for about 7 or 8 months, and she wasn't pregnant. And that just during the time she was tapping on a daily basis disappeared. Someone else said their phobia disappeared. So kind of it was affecting all aspects of their life, despite the fact that we were just working on that stress and overwhelm.
That's fascinating. So it sounds like it's literally resetting their mind, their mentality, and their approach to their lives and their relationships, and helping them just feel better about themselves in general, while it takes away that kind of edge of stress and resentment.
Yeah, I think so, because by chipping, what we're doing is we're chipping away at the edges. Because if mums weren't so stressed, I'd say, come and do a whole session, and but like this, it empowers them, so they've got the tool themselves. They don't have to go and see anyone. They can use it themselves. And the most exciting thing for me is that when they use it themselves, when it becomes their default, they start using it in times of stress. So, for example, if their child has just pressed their buttons big time, they can just take themselves off for a minute and just do some tapping, quick, maybe just a minute. Like we always say, take a few deep breaths before you approach a situation with your kids if you're feeling triggered. And then they can approach it in a new way. But then they start using it with their kids. And of course, for children to grow up with such an empowering tool that they can use for the rest of their lives, whether it be bullying or exam stress or romantic breakups when they're older, or all the stresses that young adults will have and the rest of adulthood, it's there. It's literally at their fingertips. And that's what excites me most, that they are changing the next generation for good.
Yeah. So it sounds like a great tool. I talk a lot about building resilience to stress and how self-care and these kinds of practices that really shift our energy and our mentality can really help us build our resilience to stress, because we can't control what's going on outside of ourselves, right? We can
Yeah.
only make ourselves more able to handle whatever happens. So it just sounds like EFT is such a great thing for building up that resilience. And you're not saying that we don't ever feel stressed or sad or overwhelmed, right? That's not what it is. It's more of just
No.
like taking the edge off, it sounds like, and
Yeah.
not being so charged up and reactive in the moment.
So the way that I'm describing to use it is very much about taking the edge off, and it's the way that I always think about it being a first aid way of using EFT. Now, EFT, when you use it on the underlying reasons for being stressed in the first place. So um, let's make up an example. The child started a new school, secondary school. You don't call it secondary school.
Elementary school, yeah.
Okay. Um, and the mother is so fearful that they're going to be bullied, and let's say it looks like they're being bullied, and then when you spend time with that mum and you dig a little bit deeper, you find that actually she was bullied really badly as a child, and she doesn't want to project those feelings onto her own child, and so she's hurting inside, because even though it's not a major problem, because of what happened to her. Now, if then we can go back and release the trauma and the stress of what happened to her as a child, which you can do very effectively with EFT if you're working with a practitioner, she can completely let go of that. And then, of course, she's going to mother her child very differently when she's let go of that, the limiting beliefs that would come with that kind of thing. And once she stands in her strength as mother, which is really what the child needs, to have a strong mother who's confident and grounded and calm, then she's going to parent differently, and the chances are that that child is going to behave differently at school as well and attract different kinds of experiences. So yes, it is um, it's taking the edge off, but it can go so much deeper when you work with it more deeply for a more extended amount of time.
That's really powerful. So I've heard before that we often parent either just like our parents or we go to the opposite extreme, right? So
Yes, I
either
agree.
way is reactive. It's not coming from a place of just seeing our children for who they are and seeing their needs as they are, right? It's coming from our own unmet needs or our overfilling of the needs that we had. So then we want to do the same thing. So it sounds like even more power. That's amazing. Like even more powerfully than just taking the edge off or building up that resilience, it's also getting to the root of some of our parenting habits and patterns, which I know as stepmoms can get super triggered by their stepkids' behaviors. Like even things that maybe their own kids don't trigger them as much, their stepkids can trigger them in a whole different way. And so, I'm curious about how that could be I assume it could be applied in the same way.
Absolutely. I think it's really important to go back to the earlier times and look at what was going on for the mum at the time. And also, I'm guessing there'll be other dynamics going on with the stepmom with the birth mum and all of that kind of thing. So EFT can be so helpful with that as well, so that the stepmom can literally stand in her strength and yet have respect for the fact that that child has a birth mum who also is the mum as well. So I think that would be really, really useful in those kind of situations as well, with all the relationship dynamics.
Definitely, yeah. And I could see it being useful in that stepmoms, I see a lot, take things really personally, like what the bio mom does or what their stepkids are doing. They take it as something against them, and it's really not. And I could see EFT really getting to the root of like why they're taking that so personally and being able to let that go. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely.
That's great. So should we do a little demo here so people can see what it looks like and kind of get a feel for it?
Absolutely. So I'm going to suggest that for those of you watching and for you, would you be willing to be my echo? So you'll repeat what I say, because that's what it involves. So I'm just going to talk about general stress. So we'll do some tapping on that. So if for you watching, if you want to take part in this, then do agree to take responsibility for your own well-being. And the invitation is just to do what I do and say what I say. And if you don't like what I do or say, just simply don't do it. So what I'm going to ask you watching is to just assess your level of stress right now, how it feels in your body right now. So you might feel it's like maybe a pounding head or tension in your shoulders, or it might just be your mind is very, very busy with all the things that you haven't done and you should be doing, etc., etc. So rate that level of stress for yourself on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being the most stress that you can imagine and 0 being calm, peaceful and light. And make a mental note of that. And then let's get going. So we're going to start by tapping on the side of your hand and just repeat after me. Even though
I
have all this stress,
I have all this stress,
I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have all this stress about being a stepmom,
I have all this stress about being a stepmom.
It's even worse than just being a mum.
It's even worse than just being a mom.
And I deeply and completely accept all my feelings. Just the way I am. Even though I've got so much going on right now. And it's doing my head in. I deeply and completely accept myself and everyone else involved. And I'm guessing that statement might trigger some stuff, but just allow that to be here, whatever's coming up for you. So we're just going to be tapping now through the points. And again, just copy what I do. All of this stress. And then beginning of the eyebrow. Noticing where I feel it in my body. And side of the eye. Noticing the sensations.
Noticing the sensations.
Noticing the thoughts.
Under the eye, right? That's under the eye right there.
Yeah. Sorry. And then under the nose. Noticing what I'm telling myself. And then under the lower lip. And just being curious about that. And maybe take a deep breath while we're tapping here. And then on the collarbone, it's just really the whole palm of your hand, just to the side of your collarbone, maybe slightly lower. Yeah. And bringing to mind all the people who are stressing me out right now. And then under the arm on the bra strap, my kids. My stepkids. My partner. Their ex. All of these people in my family. That are stressing me out. And just take another deep breath in. And there's so much juggling to do. And there's not enough time. And I'm working so hard to make it good. To make it work. And sometimes I just lose it. And it makes me feel guilty. And sometimes it's just overwhelming. So I'm allowing all these feelings
So I'm allowing all these feelings
to just be present now,
to just be present now
without judging them,
without judging them,
without judging myself,
without judging myself,
without judging others,
without judging others,
allowing those feelings
allowing those feelings
to be fully present
to be fully present
so that I can start releasing them
so that I can start releasing them
and letting them go,
and letting them go
so that I can start to have more clarity,
so that I can start to have more clarity,
more direction,
more direction,
more calm,
more calm,
more peace,
more peace,
more ease,
more ease,
more trust,
more trust,
and noticing my feet on the ground
noticing my feet on the ground
and my body in the chair,
and my body in the chair,
and allowing myself to surrender to gravity,
and allowing myself to surrender to gravity,
becoming fully present.
becoming fully present.
And say transform. Put your hands in the center of your chest, say transform, and take a deep breath. Transform.
I feel a lot calmer. We should have done that before the interview. I really just felt myself sinking into my body and just calming down and getting really present. I got a little emotional at one time. Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're so welcome. So now for those of you watching, just again assess what your level of stress is right now on a scale from 0 to 10. Hopefully it's gone down. Sometimes it stays the same and sometimes it gets higher. Now, there are things that you can do within EFT to work with that. I haven't got time on the interview to tell you, but if it has got worse right now, then what I suggest you do is just go back to the beginning of that section and do it again, because it will start to diffuse. And also just to say, actually, maybe this is obvious, but please don't do this while you're driving.
So can you speak just a minute to, so this might look really weird. Like I've done this before, so I'm familiar with it. So it's like, oh yeah, sure, just tapping. But I think for some people who are watching who have, have never heard of it before, it might seem like really weird. Like, what am I saying? What do So can you, is there anything you say to people to kind of help them be more comfortable with it, or, how to kind of.
Okay. So yes, it's weird. I can't, and it works. So just try it, give it a go, find out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Just have a go, have a little play with it. As part of the gift, I'm going to give you some more tools, which I think you'll talk about in a minute. So if you're curious, do it. And if it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, totally. That's great. I really believe that too, that we find the things that work for us. So if this works for you and you feel called to it, it resonates with you, do it every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So I know you have a free gift for the audience. What are you offering them today? You all can get the link after the interview's over.
So what I'm offering is it's 10 days to set you up with this tool of EFT. So you will need to commit to 5 minutes a day for 10 days. And it's very, very gentle, and it takes you step by step through it. There's a Facebook support group, so I'll be in there if you need help. And it will address anxiety and overwhelm and procrastination and a better connection with your kids. So really, it's a no-brainer. Just do it. I would love you to have a great result.
Yeah, I'm excited. This seems like a really great thing. I advocate a lot for 5 minutes of like meditation or mindfulness practice for my clients. And I think it's kind of similar, but maybe even and if you're called to that, then do that. And this might be a little bit more of like an energy shifter type tool. So that's super helpful. So we do have a few more minutes. I'm wondering, Tamara, if you'd be willing to do another tapping exercise on a specific issue related to stepmoms in particular, and something that I found triggers me. So I've found that the things that where I get really reactive and really worked up is when I feel really powerless and out of control. And so it happens more with my stepson than it does with my biological son, I've noticed. But that is something that's very difficult for me, is the out of control feeling. So could we do a little run through with that for our audience to see what that looks like with a real-time issue?
Brilliant. Okay. So what I encourage you to do is bring to mind, let's think how we're going to do that. Okay, bring to mind a time when you felt particularly powerless and out of control with your stepchild, and rate how you feel right now about that situation on a scale from 0 to 10. So that's where we're going to start with.
Okay.
And so let's start. We're gonna be working with that memory. If you haven't got a specific memory, just think about the overall feeling. But it sounds like that will be.
I got it. Yeah.
Great. So even though I felt so out of control.
I felt so out of control.
And powerless. In that situation. I'm open to the possibility. Of having compassion for myself. Knowing that I'm doing the best I can. With the resources I have right now. Even though I feel so powerless. When I think about that time. I deeply and completely accept myself. And my stepchild. And even though it's really hard to accept my stepchild.
It can be really hard to accept my stepchild.
They really know how to press my buttons. I'm okay. Top of the head. This powerless feeling. This out of control feeling. And just becoming aware about where you feel that in your body and what the body sensation is. And taking a breath into it. And under the eye. And if there was a color for that feeling in your body right now, what color would it be? And just noticing and taking another breath in. And under the nose. And if there was a color that could lift and lighten that color of that powerless sensation. And if I'm talking about colors and you don't have one, just guess. Whatever you say is going to be right. So just noticing as you're tapping under your nose, a color that can lift and lighten that powerless color. And allow that new color to mix and merge with that powerless color, lifting and lightening it. And take another deep breath. And moving on to the lower lip. And I'm open to the possibility. Of beginning to release some of this powerless feeling. And take a deep breath. Collarbone, this powerless feeling. Under the arm, this out of control feeling. From that event. And a whole series of events.
And a whole series of events.
Triggered by my stepchild.
Triggered by my stepchild.
I wonder.
I wonder.
If I can find.
If I can find.
A new way.
A new way.
Of relating and connecting.
Of relating and connecting.
To my stepchild.
To my stepchild.
So if you were able to find a new way of relating to your stepchild, what qualities would be there for you?
What comes to mind is respectful leadership.
Okay, wonderful. I want to have more respectful leadership.
I want to have more respectful leadership.
I want that energy.
I want that energy.
When I connect.
When I connect.
With my stepchild.
With my stepchild.
Remembering that my stepchild.
Remembering that my stepchild.
Is the child of my partner.
The child of my partner.
Who I love.
Who I love.
And I'm open to the possibility.
And I'm open to the possibility.
That for my partner.
That for my partner.
I can find that inner strength.
I can find that inner strength.
Of respectful leadership.
Of respectful leadership.
Open to the possibility.
Open to the possibility.
Of finding trust.
Of finding trust.
That there is a way through this.
That there is a way through this.
That there is a win-win situation.
That there is a win-win situation.
Even if I can't see it right now.
Even if I can't see it right now.
I'm open to the possibility.
I'm open to the possibility.
That even though. It sometimes feels. As if I'm lost in a forest.
As if I'm lost in a forest.
Trying to find the way out.
Trying to find a way out.
That I will get clarity.
That I will get clarity.
That maybe I can rise above this forest.
That maybe I can rise above this forest.
So that I have an overview.
So that I have an overview.
Of all the pathways.
All the pathways.
In and out of the forest.
In and out of the forest.
That will give me clarity.
That will give me clarity.
Of what the next steps are.
Of what the next steps are.
In order to create respectful leadership.
In order to create respectful leadership.
And respectful connection.
And respectful connection.
With my stepchild. So put your hands in the center of your chest, say transform, and take a deep breath.
Transform. That was great. I love that.
Good.
Yeah.
So again, just assess your feeling about that particular memory now. I know this is just like literal tip of the iceberg about what's possible. Yeah. So, it may have changed, it may not have changed, but there's so much more. I just want to say to the audience that if this hasn't changed for you, it's just like a snippet of what's possible. And if you were interested in finding out more, then do have a look at that. My free offer, or contact me.
And the 10 days that you offer, it's sessions like this, it's tapping like this, specific to people's needs and challenges, right?
Yes, they watch my videos, and each video has a theme which is related to being a stressed mum.
Right, okay, yeah, that's great. So they find the ones that are relevant to them. That's great. Well, thank you so much for that. I did find that I could have probably burst out crying if I'd been in like a private situation, because it's emotional stuff. And just to feel the difference between, like, you kind of start to feel that in your body, what respectful leadership feels like versus what the power struggle type dynamic feels like, which is not a loving place, right? It's a fearful place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I loved the color too, imagining that color like overriding the powerless color. So
Oh, good.
yeah, thank you so much. This was really great. And I know the stepmoms watching will get a lot out of it. So I appreciate you being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
And check out her link, everybody. All right. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.